Welcome to Pagan Crafting. Today we're going to look at a powerful protection against psychic attacks spell jar. We're also going to be looking at some sigil magic and making a protection sigil to go with our protection jar. We're going to look at how to design your own spell, and we're going to use some spell PDF downloadables. If you'd like to stick to the end of this video, I'm going to offer a coupon to download these videos at a certain percentage off at my Pagan Crafting Etsy store. Stick around, let's have some fun. In today's craft, we're going to be using quartz crystals, birch bark, bay leaves, a protection symbol for our wax stamp, black stamps wax, black candles, cinnamon, evil eye beads, full moon anointing oil, cedar, black salt, red peppercorn seeds, sage, crushed up eggshells, star anise seed, and river coal. We are also going to be adding some embellishments onto the glass jars later as well, and we'll go over those in a little bit. Now what we're going to be using here to start our spell, I like to start off with a candle. I have the rune for Algus, the rune for Eurus for strength. We're going to use full moon anointing oil. It is not the full moon, it's the first quarter moon as this was filmed. But I need a full moon oil to make this spell work. So using that to anoint my candle. This is not part of my spell jar, but I like to anoint my candles. As I work with my spell, I put little bits of the pieces of each herb craft around the spell. Now notice as I'm anointing it away from me, because I want to draw the negative entities away from this individual, from away the person that uses this protection spell. You do not anoint it towards you, because we don't want to draw in this negativity towards you. Now what I'll do as I work this spell, I put little pieces of each bit of the herb or crystal, as I was saying, around the candle, and as the wax melts down around, I will keep that all later in a little satchel bag. Now each time I do my spell, I like to sage and cleanse my area. Sage and cleanse all my crystals and herbs that I'm using, even though they have been saged and smudged and cleared and cleansed the day I brought them home, but I will still do it each time. It just gives them a little pep, lets them know, hey man, we got some work to do today. And I like to also smudge the bottles that I'm using too. Now I'm making 2 of them today, one large one and one mini. The mini's for a friend of mine who is in need. They have an ex who is psychically attacking them not only during the day but in their waking state, dream state, creating nightmares, you name it, they are after them. They have not let them go. They're like a psychic vampire. So this spell was specifically designed for them, and I thought I'd share it with you because I have talked to a few other friends and some people are undergoing this as well, so I thought I'd share this. Now let's start off with a sigil worksheet. I always keep the date because it goes with my spells. I write down the intention, and the intention is protection against psychic attack. Now what we're going to scratch out is all the vowels in each word, and we're going to cross out any of the doubled consonants. This is how I like to start the sigil, with a circle, and I will end it with a line. Now I start with the first three. I kind of look where they're in placement to each other, because some may cross over an unusual pattern that I may not want. So I like to see where the first three lay. And then I continue on with each one. You can do a curved or a straight line. And you can choose at any point in the square that it provides, or the shape that it provides that the letter's in. And this forms your protection against psychic attack sigil. So let's have a look to see what it looks like here on the right, to see if we want to make any changes. I like it. I always like to try a second time just to see with some different curves, different lines. They're all going the same direction, to see if I have anything new that comes out. It's almost the same, but I do like the second one better. So these we'll be using in the spell later. So this is my spell jar, spell and ritual worksheet. You can download it in my Etsy store under Pagan Crafting. There's a number of different colors to choose from. I have purple, pink, green, yellow, baby blue, orange, grayscale, and another kind of a darker, richer blue sheet as well. I'm going to use the blue one today. Throwing down the date, the day of the week. Now, I don't have a moon cycle I'm going to use because it's actually the first quarter, but I'm going to use a full moon's oil. So I wrote moon cycle oil. It's in the month of October right now, and that's the anointing oil I'm going to use for the candle. Next step is writing your intention. And this one again is protection against psychic attack. Simply that. Now I'm going to fill out the color of the candle I'm going to use. The carrier oil is almond oil. The anointing oil is full moon oil. The objects I'm using is a protection star, wax, stamp, seal, pentacle. Herbs I'm using is star anise, buffalo sage, eggshell, cinnamon, bay leaf, red peppercorn, cedar. The crystals I'm using is a clear quartz and coal. Now for my sigils or runes that I'm going to be using, I'm using the Algis or Algiz protection symbol on the right. It's a full Thark rune. And I'm using our newly made Protection Against Psychic Attack sigil by Pagan Crafting. Now the ritual I'm not going to be casting a circle in this case and going outside and chanting some loveness and throwing out some backlash to this person that is attacking my daughter, but we're just going to be making a spell shaker mini jar and a large altar spell jar. So one's going to be for my altar, one is going to be for this individual. I'm going to be using my Reiki to power it up, and as well we use our smudge to clear any negative energies away and debris away. Now again, you can download these sheets on my Pagan crafting, and you can design your own spell jars and use these sheets for you too. So as we grab our cleansed jars, we're going to grab some evil eye warding off the evil eye beads. I'm going to put one in the bottom and one at the very top when we finish. So one's got your back, one's got your front. Protect your front and your back. So each jar will get 2 of them. The next I'm going to use is black salt. Black salt is used for protection and to absorb any negative energies. It has been made with the coal and ritual ash from a fire pit at a friend's house with lots of amazing souls and people and laughter and good times around it. So it's already powered up with amazingness. And it has anvil dust in it as well to also absorb any negative energies. You can be generous with this donation of the black salt, using that as a base. I like using salt as the first ingredient in my spell jars. I'm going to add a little bit more to my larger jar because I still have some more room. No reason, just topping it up. Now our next ingredient, just going to move the candle off to the side here. Now our next ingredient is also used for protection. It's also used for fertility, but in this case we want the eggshells for protection. It's also a great fertilizer. It's also great in your plants. Mix that in with the dirt, my friends. Oh, that's some nutrients right there and some calcium. But we're going to be adding the eggshells for protection. And in the larger jar. That looks about right. Now our next ingredient is red peppercorn, and it's used for banishing negativity, exorcism it's used for, protection from evil, and keeping others at bay. So I kind of liked it not only for banishing negative activity, but keeping others at bay, and that's what I need in this spell. So I don't get a chance to use red peppercorns very often, so I'm quite excited to do so, because sometimes red peppercorns in spells, some people think they can use them as it's to fire up, spice up a love spell, but sometimes they could spice it up so much it can actually backlash and burn you. So be careful when using red peppercorn. Now this is river coal here. Now the river coal is to also absorb negative energies, protection, money, and luck. Now this is where I happen to find the river coal. I scoured for river coal along here as well as petrified wood, and I found some beautiful specimens to use. I also use this in some of my black salt recipes. I haven't had any coal for a couple years, so I just recently got some 2 weeks ago. So I'm excited now to make some black coal, which I will add a video to that here shortly, how to make some black salt. And we're going to be using some of the river coal in it. So really cool place you can get it is along the riverbeds in some areas. I happen to live in Alberta, Canada. It's rich in fossilized fuels and specimens and all kinds of stuff. Fossils, petrified wood, to dinosaur bones, you name it. But we're going to throw some of that coal in here and we're going to absorb that negative. So let's just throw down a little bit more extra here in the larger bottle. We have the room. And we're going to throw in some star anise seed. The star anise is ruled by the planet Jupiter and the element air. It's great for calmness, protection. It's also good for good luck, psychic awareness. So you can be aware of this psychic attack and repel it back. It's a clairvoyance clear, a spiritual offerings. It's also a good power generator. So we're going to power up the other herbs and crystals around it. It's also good for banishing evil and to give clarity. So I'm liking this. I'm grabbing some beautiful stars I'm going to put around the edges because I want to see the stars because they're pretty. Usually I just break them up and throw them in. But in this case, I kind of want to see the stars because they're pretty. No reason for it. Now our next ingredient, my love, what we're going to be putting in is some cinnamon bark. Now this one, if you can't break it up with your fingers, I use some pliers to break it up with. Cinnamon bark is ruled by the Sun, Mercury, and Mars, and Uranus. It's ruled by the fire element. It helps focus divination, protection spells, straight up. Use some cinnamon for some protection spells. Power, strength, courage, personal empowerment, luck, and wisdom. So we're going to break up some cinnamon bark with some pliers so it's just easier to get it into the jar. Because I'm not going to put in big chunks. I want a lot of that in there. Cinnamon is a pretty powerful piece of kit to have in your tools, I would say, in your apothecary repertoire. So with each intention, when you put something in your jar, I will say the same thing over and over again. Protection against psychic attack. I'm also in this case saying protection against from so-and-so to so-and-so. I'm not going to say their names as I'm filling these jars. Wonderful. Now our next ingredient is buffalo sage. This is from Drumheller, a desert sage from Alberta. Now this desert sage, you don't have to find this exact buffalo sage from the only place it grows in the world is Alberta, Canada. I just want something special to fire it up, pound it up, make it sweet. You could use garden sage, you can use California white sage, any type of sage will work because sage itself was ruled by Jupiter and the element air. It's going to give you wisdom, protection. It's going to be helping you granting of wishes. Hey, it's also good for immortality and longevity. It's good for smudging, cleansing, and clearing. It's good for some offerings to the ancestors as well. But today, it's going to give us wisdom. So we won't lash out. And we won't try to bring justice into our hands because I do believe in the powers of threefold. Whatever you send out, you're going to get back. So I'm just going to send out protection. I'm not going to send out any injustice and any spells and negativity and black magic their way. I'm just going to put a block and protection around my daughter. Now, another ingredient I like to use is a bay leaf. Bay leaves are ruled by the sun and the element fire. Again, straight up, Where I got this spell from is from the bay leaf. Protection against psychic attacks. It's good for home protection, making witch balls, psychic development, prophet dreams, dispel negative energies, spell break. So we're going to protect against any negative magic. We're going to have the wisdom to do it. It's going to give us strength and victory with the bay leaves. You can't get enough bay leaves. It is such a beautiful one. Same as cinnamon. Both the bay leaves and cinnamon offer a very, very powerful protection. Our next thing that I have is birch bark. Ruled by the planet Venus and the element air, it symbolizes renewal, change, courage, protection, psychic protection, heck yeah, and a positive energy to magic. So it's going to boost up the magic around. It's going to protect the extra around us. And I love the birch tree. They grow in abundance in my forest neighborhood. And it's a great one to use for spells. Also great to use for weight loss spells. Now we're going to be using some clear quartz crystal. And the clear quartz crystal is to amplify the other herbs and any other crystals you used and to empower it around it. I use it in all my spells. I call them wishing crystals because I used to wrap little wishes and little manifestation, little sheets, little papers, little scrolls around them. It was so cool. But now I use them to amplify my spells too. I still call them wishing crystals because they help me grant my wishes, my desires, my spells. They're nice little things to put in. You don't have to buy these little teeny tiny ones. You could even put one little clear quartz crystal in, will be fine. Oh, can't forget the little guy. Got to put some in the little guy too. I have to remember I still have to get the stopper in this one too, the cork stopper, so I just got to squish that down a little bit. Putting in a little ward off evil eye. Of intention setting out there, and it looks like I forgot one thing, and that's cedar. Don't laugh at how small the amount of cedar that I have. I actually have an entire shopping bag full of cedar, and I can't find it because I moved, so this is the last of it that I have. So cedar's great. It rules by the planet sun, the element fire, and earth. It's a strength that illuminate your focus, cleanse, heal, protect, and it helps to create a sacred space. So I'm going to add that to this to strengthen the spell. And that's why I also use the runestone strength as well, to strengthen up and to give me strength to protect my daughter against this person. Now for the fun part, the embellishments. I have a couple pentacles and a sword. The sword represents the air element, so communication, psychically communication. It's not happening. And we're going to use a sword for fighting it off too. And I'm going to glue in the stopper so the ingredients do not fall out in her purse. Not a product endorsement, just some of the best damn glue I've ever used. That is gel Gorilla Glue. And I have some jump rings. I'm just looping up to a larger one individual ring where I'm going to have the sword and the pentacle hanging off the larger jar and the pentacle hanging off the smaller jar. The pentacle's a great protection. Earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. So that should be a nice one for her there. I'm going to use some black ribbon because it's just cool. We're using black, 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 black for everything. Black coal, black candle, black incense coal, black ribbon, just to make it all cool. And we're going to use a black wax stamp seal for protection color. Just color coordinating. Threading it through, I'm just going to wrap the ribbon around a few times and tie it off in the back. Not doing a fancy bow, just keeping it clean for the purse so it doesn't unravel. Now this one's going to be for my altar. Again, wrapping around the ribbon a few times, tying it off at the back. Now what is nice is you can also cut the end. When you cut the ends, you can burn them off with a lighter. I was suggested to one of our followers, and that helps to make a nice clean end and prevents it from unraveling as well. But the time that I filmed these, I already had filmed it before she told me that nice little tidbit. Now we're going to use a protection symbol on top to match the Celtic star as well. I'm going to use black wax. I've cut some pieces off here, and I'm going to use and I'm using a teaspoon holder only because I needed a bigger. I'm using a half teaspoon measurement, but it works better than the little teeny tiny one that came with a little wax stamp steel kit that I got. I love pouring wax. This is probably like my favorite part of the whole spell. I really swear it is. I think it is. I think pouring the wax is my favorite part. Oh, that's so gratifying. Totally gratifying. Now you can see from all the bubbles that it got heated up a little bit too much, so it's bubbling, it's running a little bit too fast. But I did want it to make it look a little extra witchy and have it run down the sides. Ta-da! Oh, I love wax stamp seals. Alright, let's look at what we have here. I think this is going to be perfect for the purse. We're just missing one thing, and that's the sigil. We'll get to that in just a moment. Let's go to this one, because we definitely need to be able to see the wax being poured once again, because it is so amazing. I always like to do one hidden sigil or rune or symbol that's on top. I'm going to choose the one full Thark rune for protection, the Algiz. Magic of YouTube land, speeding up the process, bubbling. It actually takes about a minute or so, but we're just gonna speed up the process here. Again, hidden sigil is fine. This is a pretty large jar, so this is gonna take me a couple pours of wax because I want it to be drippy, just because I think drippy looks cool. No reason. I like playing with wax. I know you do too. Let's do it. Alright, let's add a little bit more and get our wax stamp seal ready for this time round. Again, the heat of this wax was just a little bit too hot. It shouldn't be smoking like that, and it shouldn't be bubbly, but I was using a candle, not a tea light candle this time. Tea light candles are far superior for melting wax. Oh, this is so gratifying. Are you ready? One, two, three. Oh my gosh. Dead center. Gorgeous. Protection against psychic attack. Excited. Now we have left is put the sigils on. Getting out our sigil sheet, I'm going to use the one that's in black. I'm going to write that right on my spell jar. And don't forget the little guy too. I'm not going to do a thick outline on this one. I'm just going to do a simple thin outline. I think that'll pop it out enough as it is, and the message will be clear. I'm also going to put a little protection star at the base of it too, just to give it a little bit extra oomph. Again, protection eye at the top and the bottom for protection eye for their front and their back. If you like today's craft and you want to download today's downloadable printables, here's a coupon code for you. And you can go to Pagan Crafting. Here's the link here to Pagan Crafting on Etsy.com. It was a pleasure hanging out with you today and making this protection against psychic attacks spell jar. If you're looking for any other spell jars or some original recipes, throw me down in the comments below what you're looking for. Maybe something is ailing you. Maybe you need help with something. Maybe you need some empowerment. Leave me down in the comments below what you're looking for, and I would love to feature your idea on my channel. Well, have yourself a wonderful day, and thanks for hanging out.